And welcome back. I have a
This
new
segment
co-host.
will open up this podcast
And,
by
but just a
Uppity
quick note.
Weed, the locally owned company that has everything you need for lush, weed-free gardens and lawns, from the smallest backyards to the property of the biggest businesses, and with top quality equipment and products better than the big chains, and they service what they sell. Located on Rosedale Highway, just east of Callaway, across from the promenade. Be loyal, buy local, abetaweed.com.
You bet. Great people. All right.
Okay, so now I'm back. We heard from a beta weed. So, Don, I just wanted to mention Susan Puttywater was here, the bra shop.
I saw it.
Talking
I
about
watched it all.
yes, of course, and about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. That was a whole part of that. Her being here too. So.
It was so interesting. I mean, as a man, Marcy Horonis, we're so fortunate to have her
Yes,
part of our anchor
yes.
team. But
Love Marcy.
she does a wonderful job. Beautiful woman.
Yes.
And but it was just a subject I just didn't measure up to, so to speak. So I just felt it was better to watch, and I'm so glad I did. What
Yes.
an interesting.
Yes.
I'm going to be telling my wife all about this.
Wonderful.
This is really.
Oh, I'm so glad. Dawn.
Well, one of the most important features of our show is we're very dedicated to being an encouragement to people that are going through hard times. And boy, we have two women here in very special. One who just went to the bottom of the ladder, and one who was at the top of the ladder, and both had life-changing experiences. And we're going to hear from them now. And we're talking about Fanny Hernandez and Karen Go from what we call here Garden Pathways. Karen, first of all, why don't you just tell our viewers, we have viewers all over the country and the world, tell them what Garden Pathways is all about.
Yes.
Thanks so much for having us. Garden Pathways is a nonprofit in Bakersfield that moves people who are going through difficult times onto positive lifestyles. And so we mentor children, youth, and adults to build productive lives, moving them from towards educational advancement, employment, family stability, self-sufficiency, healthy living, and improved quality of life.
And the key is where these mentors come from. Tell us about who you use as mentors in this program.
We use all community members, whoever has a heart to help individuals. We use a variety of people, some of them coming out of a challenging lifestyle, and others who maybe haven't experienced that same lifestyle, but at the same time, they have a heart to want to give and invest in a life. So their willingness to walk the long journey with our participants makes all the difference in changing the futures of families.
Let's come back at in a few minutes about how one becomes a mentor if they have a heart to help and see what's happening. But Fanny, tell us where you were in your life when you first connected with Garden Pathways and the mentoring program.
Well, where I was in my life, I come from a home from 12 siblings, and I got molested from 5 to 9, and it really took a toll on me where I lost myself, where I insulated myself from my family. So I started using drugs at 10 years old. So you see me at 12 having my first baby, at 13 having my second, 15 going to 16 having my third child. When my dad was my provider, he took care of me. He had a stroke. So I found myself to give up my daughter for an adoption because my family seen me as a troubled child. I was giving problems to my dad and mom. So I gave her up, not knowing whose hands did I put her in. So when we moved to Bakersfield, my parents wanted to move here. They wanted a better life for me. But little did they know that everywhere you go, you're going to find drugs. And that's what happened when I moved here. I hanged out with the wrong crowd. I made bad choices because nobody knew what I was going through because I've never talked to my family about me being molested. So I holded everything inside, and drugs healed my pain. They took everything away from me. And when I had my 2 other kids down the road, my oldest ones took care of my little ones. My kids never went to school. They didn't have a childhood like a normal kid because I was always on the streets selling drugs and just doing things that I shouldn't be doing, but I was because nobody knew and nobody took the time to ask me, what's wrong with you? And not having an education and got kicked out of school in the 6th grade for selling weed. I didn't have no education. I couldn't read and write. So when I came to Garden Pathways,
How old were you then when you came to Garden Pathways?
I was 31 years old.
31.
31 years old when I came connected with Garden Pathways mentoring program. And when they asked me to go, I was just so scared to ask for help because even my family members, people around me always label me as a drug addict. You're never going to amount to anything. You're never going to be successful. You will never be a mom. Your kid's never going to like you. So I believed all those lies for a lot of years. So when I came to Garden Pathways, I never forget that day when I walked in those classes. I sat there and I listened, but I was scared to talk. It took me a week before I said anything. And when I let it out, it's like they asked me, where do you see yourself in a year? And I'm running from the law at the time. And I have all this luggage. I've been molested. I'm a drug addict. I don't even know how to say, take care of my kids, and don't even know how to say, I love you. I didn't know. I was never taught how to be a parent. I knew how to be on the streets and make money, but nobody ever sat me down like, you are a mom, you got to take care of your kids. Everybody was always quick to judge me and put me down. So I was scared. I was scared to face the real world.
Fanny, how did you hear about Garden Pathways? And
My daughter at the time, my second child, she was like I said, my kids never went to school. So she had a truancy because she never showed up to school. So she was walking home with a friend, and the cops pulled them over, and they asked her, why aren't you in school? And she's like, well, I'm not in school. And so they took her in to juvenile hall. And at the time, I was just probably like, I want to say a couple of weeks clean off drugs because I was, homeless at the time. And they were asking her, well, who's your mom? Where's your mom? We need to talk to her. And I taught my kids, you don't talk to cops. If they ask you questions, you don't say nothing, because if I get busted, I will come back at you for the things that you're doing, So that was me. But, my daughter was raised like that. So they took her into Jameson Center, and a caseworker came on board, and they said, your daughter says you don't hit her and all that, but which she was lying, because I taught her not to say the truth. You don't talk to cops, you don't say anything. So I raised my kids like that. And so my daughter never said anything. So they said, you know what, there's this mentoring program that could help families. They could help you. There's classes and all that. But at the same time, I'm like, they're probably just going to be like everybody else, just meet me halfway and let me go. And I was scared because I've had people help me halfway, and then they gave up on me. So that's how I came in contact with Garden Pathways.
Your daughter was the instrumental
Yes,
one.
my second daughter.
Fanny, what's so striking to me about you is that here you've grown up with this just horrific background of being molested and drugs and homelessness and lack of education and holding all of that in, all of those years. And now you are so open. You're so
Yes.
transparent.
Yes.
You're just putting it all out there. I mean, and what a... And here you are on television, freely talking, honestly open about everything, unashamed, unafraid. How did you make such a dramatic transition to do this?
It all started when I started going to Garden Pathways. They seen something in me that I couldn't see myself.
Yes.
And it only took one person to tell me that you could be successful. You could read and write. You are that mom. You could find your daughter. And I'm looking at them, it's like, you guys don't understand. All this stuff that I'm going through, I can't even go out there and get a job. I can't even read. How am I going to be successful? How am I going to be that person? How am I going to be that mom? And it's like, you could do it. And for the first time, I felt like, you know what? Somebody cares, not once. I've been with Garden Pathways for 8 years, and not once have they ever said, Fanny, you cannot do that. Fanny, you're doing it wrong. They always encourage me, and that's all I wanted, was somebody to see me as the person that I could be.
Wow.
And that's what made me change. And I love my kids. I am a mom now, and I am working, and I'm doing the things I'm doing. And I kept on going back to my mentoring program, because it's not just a mentoring program, it's my family. I love them so much. After I finished my classes, I would go in there just to volunteer. Like, I'm here to throw your trash. I'm here to clean your tables. What could I do for you?
Yes.
And I'm here to serve, because I wanted people to see, you know what, from what I came out of, anybody could do it, because there's a lot of hurting people. I still have a lot of friends on the streets, and I go back to the streets because I don't forget where I come from. I want to be that light that they could see, that they also could do it.
Well, one thing I know about any organization is that the spirit of an organization really comes from the top. And in this case,
Yes,
the top of this organization is Karen,
Karen
Go.
Go.
And we're going to talk about Karen and the incredible life transition she made. I'm sure every one of you remember where you were at 9/11 when those towers came down. Wait till you hear where Karen was and what that did to her. We'll be right back.